Most of the guitarists in this series have been players who, although performing with the support of other musicians, have been essentially soloists around whom bands have been built. We end the series with a player who began his career with 3 other musicians almost 13 years ago and still works with the same 3 as an integral member of that band. The band in question is Queen and the guitarist Brian May. Brian May is unique in that he is, as far as we know, the only guitarist who originally intended and indeed studied at the Imperial College to be a radio astronomer. But don't let that information obscure the fact that May was also a musician from his very early days. His father originally taught him to play ukulele banjo a la George Formby, and from that point on, he taught himself to play guitar. His first guitar was acquired at the age of 7, and he turned to it increasingly as a relief from interminable piano lessons. His first band, 1984, was formed at Hampton Grammar School, and later at Imperial College he founded another group with Roger Taylor and Tim Staffel called Smile. It was Smile that eventually led to the meeting with Freddie Mercury and the subsequent development of Queen. By the time of the release of the first Queen album in 1973, the band had been together for well over 2 years, and there were times when it seemed that the first album, 2 years in the making, would never be released. That it was, and that it was so successful, is a remarkable tribute to them, to producer Roy Thomas Baker, and to the art of survival. The story of one track on that first album, Keep Yourself Alive, indicates how hard the going could be.
The first recording of it ever was in Delane Lee when we did it ourselves, and I've still got that recording, and I think it's very good and has something which the single never had. But they pressurised us very strongly to redo all the tracks, and we redid Keep Yourself Alive with Roy, and it was pretty awful, actually. I thought it was terrible. I was very unhappy about it, and I thought that the Delane Lee one was better. And I eventually actually managed to persuade Roy that it was better as well. And so we went back in and did it again in a way which was a bit more true to the original. But there is no way that you can ever really repeat something. You know, I have this great belief that the magic of the moment can never really be recaptured. And although we ended up something which was technically, in the playing and perhaps even in the recording, a bit better than the Delane Lee thing, I still think the Delane Lee one had that certain sort of magic. So I was never really happy. Now, and as it turned out, no one else was really happy either, and we kept remixing it because it never quite sounded. We thought it's the mix that's wrong. We kept remixing it, and there must have been at least 7 or 8 different mixes by different groups of people. And eventually we went in and did a mix with Mike Stone, our engineer, and that's the one that we were in the end happiest with. And that's the one we put out. But to my mind, Keep Yourself Alive was never really satisfactory. Never really quite had that magic that it should have had.